another guy yet. Like, I know they thought maybe Osweiler would be that guy when they drafted him. They haven't developed that next guy either. So they're really in a position where if they didn't come back with Peyton, you have to go out and hit the free agent market and go find somebody here. So I don't even know that this year they could not do it. But if I'm John Elway, I would love to sit down with Peyton and go, can you give me 2 years as long as I can keep you healthy? Now, obviously, if you get hurt, but can you commit to 2 years and give me 2 years to find another quarterback and try to get us to the Super Bowl one more time? Because if I'm going year by year, again, with 17, 18 other free agent decisions to make, this becomes a very hit or miss offseason for Denver, and a very important one.
Yeah, well, Vashon's right, and that's why they're going to sit. He is going to sit down with him and ask him, "Can you give me 2 years? If not, I completely understand. We'll take the 1 year and we'll look for somebody to step in after next year." But I say he's got 2 more years in him. I don't think he got banged up too bad this year. I think a good off season with no, mild workout injuries that catch him not looking will strengthen his core a little more. He's got to do those core strengthening exercises with the PT on the lower back and on the neck. And I think he can give you 2 more years. I don't think it's out of the. I don't think it's out of the question. I think it's a very good possibility.
And the other question too is the injury frequency we saw here. The last month of the season, not the same arm strength. He's got the quad tear. Clearly, lower body is your anchor for a quarterback, so that hurt him late in the season. Those are all things that Peyton Manning's going to have to consider here. But I'm with you, and I think that 2 year, 1 year conversation, that's the first place I'm starting. You have to start there before you can even go after a coach, because I would think that the type of coach you go after, if you're Elway, also is going to depend on what we're doing with these players. Because if we're making different decisions, then we may hire different types of coaches. And Fox now being rumored to perhaps be one of the guys on the list there for Chicago's opening. And I got a question for you. Getting away from Denver and circling back to the AFC North, even though it's not a head coaching deal, how surprised were you? I most definitely was surprised to see Dick LeBeau part ways with the Pittsburgh Steelers, not to retire, but obviously as a team decision. And where do you see as a possible landing spot? I would think Arizona would be a place just because of some familiarity with the guy there and a defense that's got some pieces that he can have some fun with. But Dick LeBeau is not retiring. He is just gone from Pittsburgh. Were you surprised that those two parted ways, and where do you think Dick LeBeau may end up?
Well, originally I was surprised, but working the lines a little bit, working the phone lines, I realized that he figures he doesn't have too many more seasons left to go as a coach and in this league, and he would like to have a crack to win one more ring, and the Steelers just don't give him that opportunity. Sorry, Steelers fans. It's the way it is, okay? And, not that they had a horrible season, but they do need to start to do some rebuilding. And who knows, maybe Roethlisberger is gone, although that's not LeBeau's problem, being a defensive coach. Maybe the Steelers have to do some deck clearing of their own. And, I think he would be a very good fit working under Bruce Arians. And, if God forbid something happened, he'd be capable of stepping in and being a head coach on an interim basis. So, I would love to see him here in Arizona.
I'll tell you what, Dan Wismar in the chat room. Great point. Dick LeBeau, 77 years old. I've always been amazed because, as I grew up, he was a name that everybody knew in my childhood. Like, it's rare that you have a guy that's around that long and still not. And as I don't want to say assistant, but like Jim Brown, a consultant, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of times when you've got a guy like that at that age, they're a consultant. They're a special consultant. They have a special title and they show up for autograph signings and for the Ring of Honor Day when they give out the jersey, whatever. They've got their public relations appearances. But man, nearly 80 years old, and he's like, I'm going for another job. But you do got to think. I mean, you got to think that plays a part part into Pittsburgh's thinking too. Like we have to get moving
not.
at some point.
Yeah, maybe not. And with the point that Dan's not making, and what's up there, Nathan? The point that Dan's not making is that the guy is very spry for 77.
Oh,
he
yeah.
acts like he's 15 years younger. The man plays guitar. The man plays chess on his computer. His mind is sharp for a guy his age. He reminds me, not that I want to come out of left field with this, but he's like the John Glenn of the NFL. The guy goes back into space at 76 years old and says to everybody, ha ha, I can still put a spacesuit on. He's one of the original right stuff guys. Dick LeBeau is an original right stuff guy in the NFL. He's a guy whose bust in Canton is already being polished. It's just a matter of time.
Absolutely.
He wants to put an exclamation point on the career resume. I don't blame him.
I'm a huge fan of his, and I believe that this has nothing to do with anything because this is whatever, but I sure would love to see them find a place for him on the Browns staff. That, again, not going to happen. Jim O'Neill's the defensive coordinator. Dick LeBeau's not going to go be somebody's assistant, I don't think, or whatnot. And I think he has too much respect for the Steelers organization and all the time that he spent there that I couldn't see him necessarily going to any of the other teams in the division. But the word is that he's not big on going too far from the area because he still lives down southern Ohio, and so you never know. Who knows? But I'm just saying I wouldn't turn away that mind in my defensive film room any day. If I have to ruffle some feathers, Jim O'Neill is my boy. I'll just call him in and go, hey, man, you want to work with Dick LeBeau? But I don't see it. This isn't a real conversation. This is just me in a fantasy world. But I have always had mad respect for him. He always kills the Browns. Well, whatever. He kills all the rookie quarterbacks. He's always a great defensive schemer. I'm with you, man. Dick LeBeau's an asset wherever he goes. Is Arizona a realistic option there? Or a lot of people say he doesn't want to go west, doesn't want to travel that far at his age with his family and all of that. What do you think? Where do you see him ending up coaching some football?
Well, I still think it's a possibility, but like you said, he really doesn't want to go too far out of the region, so that may be the final deciding factor, the reason why he doesn't leave the region. By the same token, you talked about how much respect he has for the organization, and another good friend of mine has been involved with that organization in the past. I haven't had a chance to speak to him about it. Lately, we've been Facebook messaging a lot these days, and haven't had any steady phone conversations. But I'll have to ask Coach Jan about that, how he feels, him knowing Coach LeBeau pretty well. It's a good possibility. There's a good possibility that any of these fired coaches or coaches that parted ways with their teams can wind up as coordinators somewhere else. It's just a given, with the off-season, shall we say, dance moves here, chess moves, what's going on with the personnel stuff.
And there's plenty more of those to come as these teams are shuffling. The Browns are one of them. Talking about as the Browns look for another offensive coordinator, perfect segue with Dick LeBeau is we use the Steelers as one of those good organizations that we talk about as far as stability. And the follow-up to Dick LeBeau is what Pittsburgh did as they promoted their assistant defensive coordinator, Keith Butler, up to LeBeau's position, but Butler's been with the Steelers since 2003, so he's got over a decade in the scheme with the coach, with the guy teaching him day by day, learning under Dick LeBeau and learning how we do things, how the Steelers defense runs, all of that. So again, I don't anticipate. I know you can't replace a great mind like that just like that, but I don't anticipate much of a drop off schematically from the new defensive coordinator because it's a guy who's got 12 years in the system. You groomed him. You basically, and that's what teams like the Steelers, teams that are the good, stable organizations do, is you don't just have a good, steady core of your coaches, your head coach, your general manager, but you create your next coaches. It's like a good business. They spend 10 years grooming the next project manager, the next sales manager, whatever. before. The Steelers groom their coordinators underneath, and then they've got them ready to drop right in. You don't have to go look for, and I hate saying this about the Steelers, but it's just they're a solid organization to point to. But again, they don't have to search outside the organization and wonder, well, what does this guy bring in? Is this guy going to be a good fit? That is the true stable, consistent franchise that any team, including the Browns, should aim to be like. They should aim to hopefully 10 years from now be in a position where the next time the offensive coordinator takes a hike, they've got so-and-so who's been with the team for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. No, well, then again, we would have to run the same offense for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. But my point being, you groom your own and you put them in the spot. And that's how you keep those stable coaching staffs. And that's why you get, like, when a new coach does come into Pittsburgh, they usually don't make a whole lot of changes to the assistants because they're like, hey, these guys know the ship better than I do. I'm going to let them show me how to play the game as I become a head coach. But I thought that was a very stable move, much like I would expect the Steelers to make when they replaced Dick LeBeau.
You know, and not only that, Jerry, bringing it back around to the Browns, if Pettin and Farmer were smart here about this, they would now look to get some Steelers off the waiver wire to help them better understand, from a player's point of view, the Steelers' defensive package, all right, so that they could compete. Not that they were terrible last year. The defense made some tremendous strides last year, but this would give them an opportunity to have a better understanding of what the Steelers' defense is.
And offensively, that's the other question I had for you. Talking about the Browns, that's where their opening is. Are you hearing anything as far as I've heard upwards of a dozen names that the Browns may be interested in for this opening of the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. A lot of people keep circling back around, and I'll tell you, Matt Cavanaugh. When that name keeps coming out from the beginning, when I heard it, I said, man, that's a Mike Pettin guy. Number one, they work together. They have a relationship already previously established, but that's Mike Pettin style football. I don't know if it's Ray Farmer and what they're going to want to do with the draft, but I think it is Ray Farmer style football as well. But Cavanaugh was the OC back with that Ravens offense, and the one that every team that doesn't have a quality quarterback points to as proof that you can still win the Super Bowl with just an okay quarterback. They all point to those 2000 Ravens and Dilfer and all of that. But it's true, and he was the offensive coordinator. He runs that prehistoric style offense that I love and that Mike Pettin loves. So I could see him circling as a dark horse, especially because people get crazy. And I know Roman's going to end up with Rex Ryan, but people were throwing Greg Roman's name out there. I can't lie. As much as I like Mike Pettin as a head coach, I don't know that other assistant head coaches are the good ones that have options are going to line up to go work with this guy, because there's no guarantee that he's going to have a job next year or they're going to have a job next year. So I think the Browns, I said this from the beginning, are best suited to go the young route with an offensive coordinator. Go try to find somebody with that fresh, young offensive mind and maybe get them a guru to come in with them and kind of guide them a little bit. But instead of trying to find one of these retreads from somebody else's organization, because I don't believe you're going to get the cream of the crop of the established guys to even sniff Cleveland, except maybe to get leverage to go, get more money out of another team or whatever. So, yeah, at that point, you're either getting a so-and-so retread, or you can try to find one of those fresh young minds. Problem is I don't think the Browns are going to go that way, but that's what I'd like to see them do, is go find a young guy and try to groom him up in the position and grow him into one of those good offensive coordinators.
Yeah, no question. And the list is getting longer and longer. I've heard nothing less than 16 names. And, it would be unfair of me to throw out a whole list right now, because that wouldn't be fair to the coaching search. And that's something that occasionally I got asked not to do. So this is one of those cases. But 16 names is a lot of candidates, Jerry.
Yeah, absolutely. The names just keep coming out. Chan Gailey's one that I saw Alex Marvez tossing out the other day. I mean, we've heard them all. Mark Trestman. I mean, and you know what? I'll tell you what. Mark Trestman, I have no interest in him as any kind of a serious like a head coach. Obviously, we're not looking for that, but he showed that overwhelmed him there. I'll go back